Clog TV.
Beyond the policy.
Yeah, welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just tuning in, this is the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and we're about to have our main discussion, which is a part 2 of the breast cancer awareness that we have taken up to embark on. So today we have 3 beautiful guests, and one person will be joining us via phone-in. And the first guest is our very own Dr. Victoria Partey-Newman. She's the resident public health physician at the West African College of Physicians and Surgeons, and also the CEO of Ladybirds Wellness Clinic. Then our second guest is in the person of Madame Juliette Mills-Lutrot, and she is, so I'm just going to read a little bit of her profile for you to get acquainted with her a little. So she's a mother, a wife, a philanthropist, and the director of the House of Jewels, comprising of Jewels Collections, JG by Jewels, Jewels Hair Collection, Jewels Magnetic Lashes, and Ujana by Jewels, all of which pour a portion of its profits into Pink for Africa. And Pink for Africa is a non-governmental organization that she is the head of. So to date, Pink for Africa has helped raise breast cancer awareness among approximately 852,000 women across Africa. The foundation stresses the importance of early detection and creates public awareness of the risk factors, symptoms, diagnosis, treatments, and support systems while decreasing the stigma attached to the disease and, of course, the need for a positive attitude towards the disease. So as you can tell from the profile I've read, she's an advocate for breast cancer, so we'll be interacting with her. And then our third guest is also an advocate for breast cancer and also an entrepreneur. We'll get acquainted with her shortly, as we haven't started the phone-in yet. So we have here with us our very own Juliette here, Madame Juliette Mills-Lutrot, and we will be interacting with her about the advocacy. And later, maybe after when the phone-in starts, then we will have our Dr. Victoria Partey-Newman to also talk to us about the medical aspects as we started last week. So yes, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you so much for joining us here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. So can you tell us a little bit about Pink for Africa before we begin?
Dive into anything else. So Pink for Africa started 14 years ago.
Okay.
I went through my own personal journey with breast cancer.
Okay.
And through that journey, the thought of coming back home and being able to educate sat very paramount. I had somebody ask me if I wasn't diagnosed in America, will I be alive today? And I couldn't answer that. So that became what propelled me to begin Pink for Africa.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how, you said it began 14 years ago. So how has the journey of Pink for Africa been?
Well, I tell you what, I have seen in the last 14 years more people advocating in Accra than ever. Okay. So I think in the last 14 years, we've all kind of screamed and yelled during the month of October and continue to create a lot of awareness. What we need, though, is to get outside of Accra and get the propaganda going on in the different parts of Ghana to really continue to create more awareness.
Okay. So I noticed you've been, I think even this week, you've been to Tamale, even Dodowa. How is it like, you know, traveling through all these places in Accra, especially the remote areas?
For me, it's very exciting because I was born and raised in Ghana, but I never thought of going to Tamale at all. So it's been really awesome traveling through. The good thing is that we have internal flights, so I can fly, go do what I have to do, and then come back and then pop into another place. So Tamale was an amazing experience. We did Tamale and we did Bolgatanga, and they were both really, really amazing. I didn't realize how hard women work in those areas. Wow. Truly, women are something else, I tell you.
I mean, women are basically the pillars of our society, but the misogyny and all.
Well, in every way, misogyny and all.
So I see a lot of schools as well. Is it that you target the younger generation as opposed to the older, or it's more of a little 70-30 sort of thing?
No, our goal is to educate from between 14 to 99.
Okay.
We realize that because of the stigmas, if we get the attention of the younger people early, then we begin to remove the fears and what the stigmas are in terms of breast cancer or any type of cancer. So it allows us to be able to go, a lot of them have such amazing questions, you'll be blown away. And while we are in there, it gives us a chance as a woman, as an entrepreneur, as a mother, to also represent that, to give them that look of, yes, I'm a businesswoman, yes, I'm a mother, yes, I wear all these hats, and to encourage them to push beyond, you know. And then we talk about health and how that affects your growth and how through taking care of yourself, you can achieve all your goals and all that good stuff.
Okay.
You know.
So let's quickly into the education. Can you tell us what's the main thing that's misunderstood about breast cancer?
Well, one of the biggest things is, there's quite a bit, but one of the biggest things that I can just think off the top of my head is that if you cut off your breast, you would die. That because the early stages of breast cancer, there is no pain, there is no much signs, people tend to ignore it. And by the time they wait for the pain, it's too late. So being conditioned that it is, you know, we know, especially in Africa, that if you have an existing pain, then of course there's something wrong. So trying to really tell a better and a clear story of, it is important that you know that is something you have to check. Early detection, teaching self-examination, all those things is key.
So do you have the male audience as well?
We do. Even though some of the schools, you know, in the last 14 years, I cannot believe how big these schools have become. There were schools we used to educate 12 years ago was maybe 1,000 students. Now it's 4,000 students. So they don't have the facility to hold everybody in there. So we end up having to pull the girls, leaving the boys. But the goal is to be able to educate both men and women, because as I speak to you, there was a man that we donated to in Kolebu who has breast cancer.
Oh, okay.
So, and he didn't want to talk about it. He didn't want to get on camera. He didn't want to say anything about it. And I'm hoping that in the next year or so, he will come around and share his story and encourage others. So
do you think that because of the fact that it's about just 2% of men, according to WHO, that get breast cancer, maybe this man who is also a victim or a patient is also feeling stigmatized, and it's, you know, in that Ghanaian, it's for women's disease that he has gotten. So could that be one of the reasons why he's not forthcoming?
Absolutely. His biggest concern was that people will see him
and laugh at him
and ridicule and say things about him, and he wanted to protect that, and I respected that. What I reminded him though was that people donate to me. It's my face I'm using to bring to you. So people need to know where their money is going. So, you know, I let him understand that. And I said, I'll respect the privacy of what you wish, but remember that. And remember that because most men, you know, Beyonce's father had a double mastectomy. People don't realize. When you Google men with breast cancer, a whole lot comes up.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, the 2% is right, but we're seeing more and more in Ghana. Yeah, we're seeing it's coming up. And younger people, women, are getting this disease. The youngest in Ghana, I believe, was 12.
12. Oh, 12 years. That's very young. I don't even. Wow.
Ali, that is so young.
Okay, so as someone who goes out doing these outreaches and advocacy, what are some of the things you think can be done to improve it?
I think we should definitely share more of our stories. Our people who are diagnosed need to come up like I did and share our stories to empower others to begin to remove that fear and that stigma. And it is a disease. It's something you have no control. You didn't do anything. You know, when God gave us the world, he gave us clean air, clean water, clean earth. And through human pollutions, we have destroyed what he gave us, and we get sick. So it's important to understand, especially with what's going on with galamsey and our body waters.
Yes.
It's just horrible. So these are all the things. We don't know 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what diseases could crop up with these rivers and what has happened to them. So we have to really be conscious of the choices we make.
Okay, so does Spink for Africa engage in any screenings for women and things like that?
So we don't do any screenings. We can partner up with the hospitals, but our focus is really based on education, supporting the hospitals with people who are diagnosed and cannot afford, and bringing prosthesis to them to make them feel good, and basically creating a support system where we have some level of support system. This year, I partnered up with some psychologists who we are looking to create a relationship with the patient and the psychologist for whatever they go through, if they need to talk about it. And even who takes care of the caregiver. The person who's taking care of the patient sometimes goes through an emotional trauma as well.
We will get into that. So aside the early detection and things, do you do any education on maybe the latter stages of the cancer, or just going through the whole thing, or it's the whole package?
You know, the latter stages are so tough emotionally to get close to, because you know the person will go. And it is such a difficult journey that is why we focus so hard on early detection, because you know cancer is one of the most expensive diseases to cure. So when it's found early, there was a woman I ran into in Kumasi, Mampokoa, who was diagnosed before 40. She took off her breast and she lived to be 89 before she died. And she didn't need chemo or radiation. They just removed the breast, took all the tumors out, and she survived. So, and I'm talking about maybe 50 years ago, this happened to her. So knowing that that existed then and all the advancement that has happened till today, it is so important to really drum early detection in our women and everybody, really.
Okay. So what are some of the ways you would suggest we support breast cancer awareness in general, aside the non-governmental organizations in our society? Because I think over the years, the incidence of breast cancer keeps increasing. So how do you think, we can support such?
You know, there is a particular strain of breast cancer that is predominant in West Africa. It's the triple negative breast cancer. And we still don't know where this disease is coming from. We don't know if it's in our food, if it's in our genetics, if it's in our water, we don't know. So I will say that the advocacy is great, but we need to push outside of Ghana. Majority of the people, outside of Accra, majority of the people live outside of Accra as well, and they end up pouring into the same hospitals that we all share in Accra. So I think it's important that we push on education and get into communities, get into churches, get into mosques, get into communities and share this and encourage women to self-examine. October, we've dedicated October, but people are diagnosed all throughout the year. So, every now and then I hope, platforms like yours will run this and be able to inject it throughout the year so that it's not just October.
Okay. So you mentioned you've partnered up with psychologists and stuff like that. So are there other institutions you also partner with?
We partner up with local non-profits. One of them is Embrace. Embrace has navigators in the big hospitals that we work with very closely to be able to determine which patients needs financial support, what they need, if it's for chemo, if it's for radiation, if it's for psychological help, if it's just for support. So that way we could pour into them as well. So
does Spink for Africa also have support groups where maybe you have women coming together to uplift each other? They're all probably survivors and something like that?
We don't have that yet, because every time I've suggested it, women don't want to join. People want to be private. People don't want to talk about what they're going through. So I'll approach it again, but people like to talk to me one-on-one. Because of my personal experience, they want to. So I find I counsel a lot of people through WhatsApp. I counsel people from Jamaica, from Europe, everywhere. When they find me, I'm willing to talk and I'm willing to entertain that.
Okay. So Joining us here, we have Dr. Victoria Partey Newman, and so the conversation is about to get even more educative and informative. So yes, don't forget to send in your comments, your questions to our WhatsApp number displayed on your screens, and of course onto our live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. Just look for Clock TV and you can send in all the questions, all your pressing questions about breast cancer. Yes, hello, Dr. Partey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you too. So, how do I even do this? Okay, I will do my very best. You said you were a survivor. I wasn't very sure if you would like to share a little bit about your journey. Some people like to be private, so
No, it's what Pink for Africa is about.
okay,
Ask away.
Okay, so let's get quickly into how did you cope when you first heard of the diagnosis?
I don't think I remember anything after the doctor said, we have found, tumors that came up cancerous in the breast. I don't think I remember how I got home. I was by myself to get the results. But I made it home. And like everything else, you hear the C word and it shakes you, it shakes you to the core.
Okay, so how young were you at the time?
I had just turned 40 and it was my first mammogram.
Oh,
My youngest child, I have 3 sons. My youngest one was 9 at the time.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were your biggest fears? Because I'm sure a lot of women that have been diagnosed of breast cancer, the very first thing you think about is death. I have cancer, so I'm dying. So what was it like for you? What was
I
your
think
biggest
death was definitely one of the things. I wasn't sure how. It was so early that more testing needed to be done to determine what type of tumors they were, how badly spread they were, if they were in my lymph nodes, if I needed chemo, if I needed radiation, if I needed to do a lumpectomy versus a mastectomy. And so all of those questions what I tell people is, stop going to Google. Please listen to your doctors. Stop, because there's all kinds of things on Google.
Yes.
And it's only going to make you more afraid and put more fear in you. There is some information there, but it can be misguiding. So pay attention to what your doctor is suggesting, because listen, majority of doctors want to hit their chest and say they saved your life.
Yeah.
That's the goal. So their interest is to make sure that you are on the right path. I seek the second opinion because the first doctor wanted to do a lumpectomy. And I remember through the testing process, they had found two lumps in my right as well as my left.
Oh.
So I wanted to make sure all of them were biopsied and to make a very proper decision.
Okay.
My second opinion was a female doctor who said to me, look, you are young, your hormones are raging, please remove the breast. So that's what I did.
Oh,
I opted for a full mastectomy.
okay.
Yes.
So when you opted for the mastectomy, did you also undergo chemo and all of that?
I underwent chemo. I didn't need radiation because my
Okay.
stage was very early.
Okay.
But I had, the type of tumor I had always comes back. And when it comes back,
It will come
sometimes
back
they don't
with
catch it in
force.
time.
Okay.
So the doctor suggested that I remove the breast and then do my chemo. And because I was diagnosed in America, it was easier for me to go through reconstructive surgery and feel a little bit normal. It's still not normal, but it feels a little normal. It looks normal, that's what I should say. It doesn't feel normal, but it looks normal. And that allowed me to, and then, I was done having my children. So when the doctor said new boobs, I was like, Charlie, let's go.
Oh, wow.
I didn't mind at all.
Okay, so how was recovery like for you?
Chemo was rough. 16 years ago is not the same today. Chemo has grown a whole lot and it's much, much easier now. But it was tough. I lost all my hair. My nails were black. I had sores in my mouth. I was very sick. It was rough. I had 6 months of it, which was not bad at all compared to a young lady I sat next to in the waiting room of the hospital I was in one day. And she had taken a total of about 52 cycles.
52
And they had
cycles.
just told her that it didn't work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey.
She was only in her 30s and I was so devastated for her. So, different tumors require different things. I didn't ask her what type of cancer she had, but I think it was maybe a little far gone than mine was. And immediately at that particular moment, I was like, wow, how grateful and how thankful I am.
So how was the support system you had? How well did they play?
You know, family is everything. That's one of the things when I talk about my journey, I ask people in Ghana to please be a support because that support is everything, is everything. I come from a big family, so everybody was literally on speed dial with me and everybody was extremely supportive. My husband was like a strong pillar behind me.
That's really beautiful. So what resources were available to you? Because comparing 16 years ago to now, I mean, there has been an advancement, but what resources were available to you at the time?
Well, I definitely had the option to speak to psychologists and for this, whatever struggle I was going through. It was extended to my family because, you know, like I said to you earlier, who takes care of the caregiver? So the caregiver is also pouring into you, and sometimes you go through emotional struggle and you push it onto that caregiver. So that was offered. Luckily, we didn't need it, but I called a few of the hotline just to hear what people were going through, to kind of let me see that, listen, you're not going through much, you're good. So that the support system was good. But, you know, there's so much in America that women do. There's so many organizations that, you know, black women going through, single mothers going through. There is all kinds of support systems around you. So that really, really helps. And I think that is some of the things we can incorporate here as well and get our women to open up more, get our people to share more.
So with that experience, how do you navigate your health now?
You know, when I was diagnosed, I was maybe a size 14. And then through the chemo and medication and everything else, I went on Lupron for a while and that blew me up. I went up all the way to almost 300 pounds. So after that, my goal was I needed to be healthy. I needed to make better choices. And I think building a strong immune is key to everything. Skinny people are not necessarily healthy. Fat people are not necessarily unhealthy. But finding that balance and making sure that your body structure, your genetic make can support that. So I made some healthy choices and tried to keep up with looking right.
And of course, you are doing an amazing job. So, Dr. Patti, I remember last Thursday you mentioned something about the gene BRCA1 and 2. So I'd like to ask you, did you check if, you know, it was a genetic predisposition or something of the sort?
Yes, I did. I had the BRCA test done. I didn't have that situation at all. So mine was environmental. And what is environmental?
Maybe stress related.
Everything. Stress related. At the time, I was at the peak of my career. I was running 2 hair salons. I was managing about 15, 18 people. I was traveling. I was on BET, MTV. I was doing, I was, you know, women, when we are needed, we think is good. Then we neglect ourselves. So that's what happened. I got pulled into making money and enjoying, and I need this and I'm here. We should try and pull back and take better care of ourselves.
That's really beautiful. So we have a question here. This one is from Margaret Tite. She says, what does it mean when there's a lump in the breast? Is the lump different from the cancer? So I think our doctor would handle this first.
Okay, so usually we have benign lumps and we have malignant lumps.
Okay.
So what we are talking about is the malignant one. Benign means it's not cancerous. Usually that type of benign lump, we can talk of fibroadenoma. I spoke of it the other time, that usually women between the ages of 19 to 35 are capable of having that kind of benign tumor. And usually it is by watchful waiting to see if there will be symptoms of pain, discomfort, and unfortunately sometimes those lumps tend to be cancerous. So based on, and no doctor or surgeon wishes to take off your breast or remove lumps. So usually they will decide to wait a while, they observe, repeat scans. If it's growing bigger, if you are feeling uncomfortable, if you feel, and sometimes based on the patient's discretion, some patients will say, once this thing is in me, I am not comfortable, take it out. With that one, we listen. So mostly watchful waiting, conservative treatment, and then finally we have a lumpectomy for the fibroadenoma.
Okay.
So what we are talking about now is the malignant one.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've answered this question.
So the person also asked, if there's a lump in the breast, is it likely to have cancer? So that's when the tests are done to be able to check.
Yeah, so then
if it's malignant.
when you do the mammogram, it's picked. Then we do the biopsy, the true cut biopsy. Then we know the type of cancer, because based on the type of cancer and the staging, you're able to know which type of treatment will work. Like I said the last time, it's not just one type of treatment, like what Madam said. Usually it's a combination of what best fits for that particular stage and the type of cancer.
Yeah. Okay, so we have more questions. Hey, goodness. Okay, so I think this one is for Pink for Africa. Says, well, we've answered some of these questions. I think the person didn't start with the show, so I may just ask again. So, how did Pink for Africa come about, and how long has it been operating? It's been about 14 years.
It's been about 14 years.
Yes. And then, what does Pink for Africa do, and what have they done this year?
So this year we are going to be donating a total of 150 prosthetics. We just came back from Tamale and Bolga. We've been educating through the schools, through the churches, through the mosque. And we just donated a few days ago to Kolebu. We did 35,000 CDs to a few patients to help them along the way. And we also donated 50 prosthetics there.
Okay. So about the prosthetics, how is the general reaction to the silicone boobs?
It means everything to a woman who feels so robbed that something so personal and so private has been taken away. And I cannot relate because I had reconstruction.
Okay.
I can only relate that when I see them and meet them, the joy it brings to them, that it's very expensive. In Ghana, it's about $200. So for us to be able to give, we've donated so far a little over 500.
Okay.
So for us to be able to give this to this woman and bless her with it means everything.
Wow, that's
I tell them,
beautiful.
right now you're back on the road, so be careful. So it's really heartwarming to see them.
Okay. So there's another, I think this question has been answered. Do you work with other hospitals to provide screening for women?
Most of the hospitals that I know, and Doc, you can even agree to this, usually run for the month of October free screening. Most of them do. So what we do is we go around and pick all their flyers and we post it on our platforms consistently. Yeah.
Then also the next question is, does Pink for Africa generate funds to help women in need with breast cancer?
We've donated over $300,000 so far.
Wow.
And we will be continuing.
Over the 14 years? Yeah, wow. Okay, so the last one is, what can people do to also support Pink for Africa?
We're running a huge campaign, and it is donate 10 CDs and tell 10 people. And we will put the Momo number under the program for you so that people can go and donate. They can also go to www.pinkforafrica.org, and the information is there, and you can donate. In America, people are donating $5 and telling 5 people.
Okay. Wow. So, no, this question will not vanish. Yes, with Pink for Africa, do you have headquarters in Ghana and things like that?
So we don't, because our goal is to take 100% of the donation and give it to the patient. So we don't want to incur any bills. So we are a small machine that runs a big ship.
Oh, wow. Okay, that was really, really amazing. So now, back to our doctor. We're continuing our conversation from last Thursday. I think we reached, where did we get to? Yes, we got to the stages also. But you mentioned that there seems to be a certain type of cancer that is predominant or prevalent here in
West Africa.
Yes. So if you can speak to that for us. She said something about triple negative.
Yeah, so I think I talked about it the other time.
Yeah, a little.
I said triple negative cancer usually is a type of cancer that has not some type of receptors. There are estrogen receptors, the progesterone receptors, and then we have something we call the HER2 receptor.
Yeah.
That's the human epidermal growth factor receptor. Usually, those are the receptors that help with the kind of treatment you use per the kind of cancer cell. So usually what happens is when they run the test and those receptors aren't there, we realize that, okay, so this is a kind of, we call it triple negative therapy.
Right.
So with that one, it's very common in West Africa, like she said. It's very aggressive too.
Yes, sadly.
Very, very aggressive. So
Sadly.
we use some medication. I think we call it trastuzumab or something like that. Enhertu, ENHERTU.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually what it does is that it kind of reduces the size of the cancer, and then it's usually, and it's also very, very effective. Like once that triple negative cancer is diagnosed and you hit hard with the chemotherapy, with the medication, that is how come she's alive. It's prognosis is good.
Yes. Yes.
Prognosis is good.
Okay. So aside the triple negative, which other ones are also there?
We have the estrogen-related cancer,
Okay.
like I talked of.
The hormone one.
The hormone ones.
Yeah.
So usually those ones we use anti-hormone medications like tamoxifen that reduces the level of hormones, and then it helps reduce the cancer and then the cancer cells.
Okay.
So usually with that one, they need to be managed with an endocrinologist,
Okay.
whereby the endocrinologist would have to manage and monitor their hormonal levels, because with this kind of cancer, it can push you to surgical, it can push you to premenopause, whereby it's not time for you to have your menopause, but then you're experiencing menopause. Then you need a lot of support, you need a lot of medications that would help support those symptoms.
Yeah.
Yes, especially one of the things that it causes is it can cause early menopausal arthritis.
Oh, okay.
You see some woman complaining of her knee and all that, hot flashes and being mood swings, irritable, coupled with the treatment of the cancer as well. So it's a whole, it's not something that can be managed by one doctor. We have the psychologist, the endocrinologist, we have the surgeon, we have the oncologist, all coming together.
Okay. So is it that, let's say with her issue, it was more stress related or environmental? Could it be that maybe the triple negative types are not hormonal? Is there any distinction like that, or it can just mix, match and happen?
I don't understand the question.
So you see, hers was not because of the genetic predisposition or hormonal.
said she
It was
didn't have-
environmental, yes.
Yes, it was mostly
Yes.
based on the stimulus
Her lifestyle
around.
or something.
Environmental.
So with something like that, can we say that, or is there a possibility that maybe what she had was not necessarily going to be the type that would be the triple negative type or something of the sort?
It could be any.
It could be, okay, so any can happen, whether
Yes.
hormonal, it could be triple
Any.
negative. Okay.
Yeah, it could be
Okay.
any.
So, yes, what is the difference between the mastectomy and the lumpectomy?
Okay, so in science, when we say mast, it's breast.
Yeah.
So we have mastitis, that's inflammation of the breast. So if we have mastectomy, ectomy is removal.
Okay.
So mastectomy is the removal of the breast. And then lump is lumpectomy, removal of the lump.
Okay.
So the lumpectomy is removing a lump in the breast. And then the mastectomy is removing the breast,
breast
based
itself.
on the stage or the type of cancer, or based on what works for the patient. Like what Madam Lutra said, she said she was told she was very young, hormones are raging everywhere, most likely better to have the breast off
Okay.
because recurrence of such type of cancer is high. And the funny thing is that it happens unawares, because you think you are cancer free, and then the next 10 years you are battling something that's already gone to a latter stage.
Okay.
So now with research going on, they are actually developing some kind of study. We call it the cleaning evidence of dominant cells, the CLEVER study, whereby samples are taken to check if, through bone marrow aspirate, to check if indeed you are really cancer free, because of the dominant cancer cells that can just be hovering and hiding in places in the body. So they have a thorough scan on you, especially when you are done with your treatment, and then they make sure. And so with that one, recurrence is low. That's where they've gotten to now.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So with your double mastectomy, did you have issues with the whole lymph node? Because after
I didn't
after
do a
the,
double, I did
or
a
just
single
one
mastectomy.
single.
Yes.
So did you have, with that, did you still have issues with the lymph nodes?
Yeah, they went into my lymph nodes. They took about 13 of them and
Okay.
checked to be sure I was clear. So I was grateful for that. But yes, reconstruction is something, I mean, the journey continues. I'm 16 years in, and this year I needed to go into surgery because I had a rupture in my left breast. So I needed to go into surgery to have it removed, replaced, adjusted, and I was cut up on both sides all over again. So it's
a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
So there are women who have the breast removed, and then there's this issue of fluid retention in the arms and things like that. Could you, I mean, both of you, if you could speak to that.
Doc will be perfect to talk about that.
Yes. So how
we
do
call
they
that
handle?
lymphedema.
Okay.
So there's a system we call the lymphatic system, which is the immune system of the body, a part of the immune system of the body, which contains some lymph vessels that run through with cells that help fight the immune system. So sometimes what happens is that the lymph nodes, in case you have maybe stage 3 or stage 2 or worse stage 4, become bigger and they can clog the vessels. In so doing, circulation, or should I say transmission of blood through the body is not too efficient. So one of the things I've learned recently, as I'm also going through my studies, is that breast cancer, one of the things you should notice that when you are examining your breast and you notice your underarm is a bit puffy, aside the fact that you are obese or you have flesh or accessory breast, that's why you should know your breast. When you notice that, it should be a concern that probably the drainage, the lymphatic drainage isn't working properly. That means that there's something going on around your breast, so you should have it checked. So usually with a lymphedema, it's like the circulation is not going on well, then the hand becomes very heavy and very uncomfortable for the patient.
I noticed they wear this stocking or band.
Help with the circulation. So when I was going through chemo, I noticed that right after chemo, one of the suggestions that I was given was to go get a reflexology. So I would, right after chemo, I had a woman come to the house who literally would massage my feet coming up and my arms as well. And that really helped relieve and help circulate much better. So, you know, I didn't have that experience in terms of the lymphedema, but I knew that it was my feet and arms were going through a struggle. Yes.
I think I also heard something about neuropathy. Sometimes it's also possible. So, yes.
Okay, it could be. Because, like you said, the lymphedema causes tension in the tissues, tension in the cells, the nerves, the blood vessels. Neuropathy is nerve problem. Pathy is, in science, when we say pathy, is sickness. Neuro is nerve, so nerve sickness. So neuropathy, probably you'll be feeling numbness, you'll be feeling paresthesia, that's like needles and pins, and you'll be feeling heaviness, you know, all those things, neuropathic symptoms of lymphedema.
Okay, so let's go, one question before we go on break. The chemo, let's talk about the chemo. How many rounds of it? What does it do? And what is it even to start with? We hear chemo.
The chemo is more like, is relative, like per the staging of the cancer, per the needs of the individual. Sometimes a woman has not had a child, you have to consider that. Sometimes she's had a children already, you have to consider that. So a lot of things come into play. So the chemo, at least about 26 to 28 cycles, and at most it can go as much as the doctor feels you are out of like having cancer. So it's not really fixed that, okay, every patient is 33 cycles, every patient is, some even patients don't even have chemo at all. After they've had the surgery, they are good to go. But with that one, for me, if you were my mother or you were my relative, I would wish you have some cycles of chemo, just to be sure. Just to be sure.
That was the advice I was
Just to be sure, because you never know.
I could have opted for not getting chemo.
You never know.
But they suggested that, listen,
No.
because you are young, you may have
whole life ahead.
you may have some cancer cells going on in your uterus that we don't know yet. So do your 6 months of chemo. Yes, it's going to be rough. Yes, it's going to go through, but it will drop your chances of God forbid, this thing brewing anywhere else.
Thank you.
And for me, it was not an option. You're giving me an option to live. Let's go. Exactly.
You know, and this thing has to be said out there because most women actually think removing the breast, that's the end of the breast cancer. Breast cancer treatment is holistic. It's
Change of lifestyle.
It encapsulates everything
Yes.
from one stage to the next. So you just have to be obedient to your doctor. Just follow the doctor. And one thing I've learned as a student when I was in med school or as a house officer or whatever, I learned that I noticed that no surgeon wakes up to want to cut your breast.
Exactly.
As much as possible, they want to save it.
Yeah.
They really, really want. For them to say your breast should go, then it has to go.
It has to go.
Okay. So I've interacted with a few patients here and there, and one of them was saying that she was supposed to get, I think, 8 rounds, but just before the 6th, there was a threat of hair getting paralyzed. So if you can give us some
Was
effects.
it radiation or
No, chemo.
Chemo.
So if you can give us some of the effects of chemotherapy.
You know, the chemo is the grace of God. Yeah. God, this thing I wanted to say it out in my Instagram because one thing I notice is that we do the medicine, but God does the healing. Because anything can happen. Anything. You could have a bad reaction, which could lead to anaphylaxis and then death straight. Or you could have, it could go well for you. So the symptoms are vast, but the common ones, we have nausea, loss of appetite. Mom talked of loss of hair, darkening of skin, darkening of your nails, your tongue, feeling mood swings, getting depressed, many symptoms, anything you can think of that could cause a side effect of the chemotherapy, like how you take medications. But usually now what is happening is that research studies is, what's going on now is that they are realizing that the effects of the chemotherapy can even be stronger than even the breast cancer disease itself. So what is happening is that there are now medications that help to reduce the side effects of the chemotherapy. And it's really helping a lot. And it's making it more successful in the sense that, like you said, with this 6 rounds she's had, supposed to have 8, I don't think the doctor will continue.
Yeah, they didn't continue.
Then at the end of the day, how are we solving the problem? Because we haven't.
So I think after that, they just went straight into surgery, and then, I mean, she's okay now. She's had the radiotherapy and everything. But we have to go for a quick break. And after the break, joining us on phone is Mrs. Sharon Rose Adehe Ashi. She's a highly accomplished professional with a diverse range of expertise and a successful branch manager. She leads teams overseas with operations with a focus on excellence and growth. In addition, she is a digital marketing expert, crafting innovative strategies to help businesses thrive in the digital space. Now, beyond these roles, Mrs. Sharon Rose is also a passionate entrepreneur, building and scaling ventures in multiple industries with a wealth of experience and a sharp business acumen. She brings valuable insights on leadership and digital innovation and entrepreneurship. So I think, yes, our conversation with her is going to be predominantly about the bras and women. Since she's an entrepreneur, I think she interacts with a lot of people who purchase bras and things like that. So we'll be having a conversation with her too, right after this break, and then we'll see you soon. You're welcome back to the KOKO Digest Morning Show. If you're just joining us, this is the KOKO Digest Morning Show, and we're having our main discussion on the part 2 of breast cancer awareness, early detection, treatment, everything, even survivorship, advocacy. We're talking about everything concerning breast cancer today. Joining us on the phone lines, as I mentioned earlier, is Mrs. Sharon Rose, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about the bras that we wear, the ones we should wear, and fitting it. So, hello, our producers, is she online? Yes, okay. Hello, madam.
Hello, dear Yaya.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us here on the KOKO Digest Morning Show.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Yes, so in your profile, it says you are an entrepreneur. Can you tell us a little bit about that before we start?
Okay, so I'm actually the CEO of Charlotte's Fashion and Home Essentials. So this particular brand is into selling of kitchenware, dresses, ranges, home appliances, and more.
Okay. So today's focus is on the bras or the braziers. So can you tell us how a proper fitting bra would impact on our breast health? I'm sure our doctor too would help us with that too.
Okay. Thank you very much. Proper bra fitting has a significant impact on breast health and then overall comfort. This particular question has two sides.
Okay.
That is the positive impact and then the negative impact. I'll be talking about both simultaneously.
Okay.
So let's now dive into it. First and foremost, one, improve comfortability. So when you wear a well-fitted bra, you are rest assured that you'll be at ease the whole day. There wouldn't be any strain at the back, at the shoulder, and then at the neck. But in a situation whereby you didn't wear a well-fitted bra, you will be discomforted the whole day. You wouldn't feel free. This can lead to back pain, shoulder pain, and then neck pain.
Okay. So
secondly,
please continue. Please continue.
Okay, secondly, reduced skin irritation. So when you wear a well-fitted bra, it is believed that at the end of the day, there wouldn't be any moisture build up around your breast region. If you don't wear a well-fitted bra, a moisture will be built around that region, leading to rashes, itches, and then a whole lot. Even at your strap line, you get redness and then at the end of the day, irritation.
Okay. I have a question for the moisture. With our weather or the climate here in Africa, are we not already prone to sweating under our clothes? So how do you differentiate between the sweat or the moisture around your breast being a result of a non-fitting bra versus the weather?
Okay. Thank you for the question.
Okay.
So we have different types of bra.
Okay.
That is, there is one that is breathable, that is made up of natural cotton. So when you wear this particular one, it wouldn't, it's not opaque.
Okay.
Air can easily pass through and then you'll be at ease. But then in a situation whereby you go in for something that is too tight and at the same time opaque, you will suffer. Sweat will definitely be there.
Okay. Thank you very much. So can you share a little, okay, we have some images of bras being displayed, but can you share some ways that an ill-fitting bra can increase the risk of breast cancer?
Okay, so this particular question, we have our doctor.
Yeah.
There is no scientific evidence proving that there is a correlation between an ill-fitted bra and then breast cancer. What I know is that what you get at the end of the day is the rashes, the redness, and then if this goes on in the long run, you will, suffer breast cancer. But right now, emphatically, I don't have the answer if there is any correlation. Hi,
Okay.
Doc, please, can you help us?
Yes. So ill-fitting, no scientific. Okay.
You wear tight-fitting bra or something uncomfortable, it will lead to breast cancer. But just being comfortable in the sense that you feel relaxed and your body, your skin in good shape because there's no irritation. It's also good, but not anything correlated to
Okay. But I've also okay. You want to contribute?
Yeah, I want to contribute. You know, it's so important for you to wear a proper bra because it helps with your posture.
Good.
So when you're fitted properly, your posture is correct. Then you want to be sure that your cup size is right. All of that adds to shaping the breast and cupping the breast in a way that the bone or whatever is in there does not hit a part of your breast that is going to hurt you. Exactly. So, and also for me, I don't wear a wire anymore. But more and more, the bras that are coming up now, and I hope she has them, it fits, it's padded enough where it gives you a good enough support. And the fabric they're using is breathable. So that even if you sweat, it absorbs the sweat and you don't feel sticky. And you, So I think those things are important as a woman. I believe that a man designed the high heel and the brazier, the old ones, because they are both equally uncomfortable.
Right. So I was also going to ask about the why, because I think over the years when we see these breast cancer awareness initiatives, they say something about the wires. You know, there's a metal in there. Sometimes it pokes out when the bra is tired, and then the rust or something could give you skin irritations that could lead to all of that. And something about we shouldn't wear push-up bras anymore, so you can't try to flaunt your girls. And so
I think we should keep the bras clean. That's one of the most important things because you sweat in them.
Okay.
And again, Doc said, be comfortable. Be comfortable. When you're fitted, be comfortable. And she even said that fitting the right bra allows you to be comfortable.
Okay.
So the priority is to be comfortable. The material is key as well. And then I think that keeping that bra washed every other day, every few days is key because you're sweating into it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Madam Sharon Rose, are you still there, for us,
She has
please?
our support.
Do you do some sort of consultancy about the bras when you have people buying? You tell them this is a better option or this would fit, those kinds of consultations and advice?
Yes, please. I do that a lot.
Okay.
I had some customers coming in saying that I don't know my size, I don't know what to buy, and all those things.
Okay.
So I actually help them with their design.
Okay.
So sometimes we have a lot of bras. We have the t-shirt bra. This is basically designed to be seamless under tight fitting clothing.
Okay.
And then we have the push-up bra. This helps lift and enhances the cleavage
Okay.
by using padded cups. So this is more a foam
Okay.
pad. Yes, please. And then we have a planche bra. This has a deep V shape, perfect for low-cut tops.
Okay.
And then we have sports bra. We have a full coverage bra, convertible bra,
Okay.
and Nessun bra.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So
there are
do
a
you sell
lot
all
of
of
them.
these?
Strapless. Yes, please.
Okay, then I'm sure the women here at Clock TV will come and see you. Okay, quickly before we set you free, what are some of the challenges you face when it comes to women purchasing these bras or taking your advice as to what should fit best?
A whole lot. Some of them, they are too, their breast is very heavy. But then they tend to opt for something that is small, undersized.
Okay.
All in the name of pushing the breast up.
Okay.
So this at the end of the day results in breast pillage.
Okay.
And this can cause a lot of comfortability too. So I don't really understand. It's their money. They are bringing it to buy it. You cannot really control them and tell them what to do. By the end of the day, some of them are understanding. I try my best to, inculcate and teach them what is best for them.
Okay, so we have a question here for you from our viewers. This one says, please ask the entrepreneur what type of bra people like purchasing.
Okay, so the T-shirt bra.
Okay.
Strapless.
What number is it?
The nursing bra, that is for mothers, the nursing mothers.
Nursing bra. Okay.
Yes, and then the wireless bra.
Okay. So just before we sign you off, this is the nursing bra.
Yeah, that looks beautiful.
Yeah. So just before we set you free, what are your concluding remarks to all the viewers out there, especially the women who are purchasing bras every day?
Please, the question again.
I said before we set you free, what are your concluding remarks for the women out there who are purchasing bras or when they are going to purchase bras?
Okay, so in summary, wearing a well-fitted bra is crucial for both comfort and a long-term health. It will help you provide support all day long, and then prevent issues such as breast pain, back pain, shoulder strain, and then premature tears.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. This has been an amazing conversation with you. We're really grateful for your contribution to this conversation. We hope you have a good day.
Thank you too.
All right. So we have, okay, now back to us here in the studio. We have comments here. This one says, chemotherapy, can it affect the functioning of ovaries, reducing the number or quality of eggs? These anti-cancer drugs may also cause infertility in women who haven't started menopause, making them premenopausal or perimenopausal. Yeah.
You talked about that.
Please, how true is it? So the questions are two. The second one is, please, doc, I have an aunt who had breast cancer surgery. Will she need radiation or chemotherapy or both? So the first one, chemotherapy causing some form of infertility or reducing the quality of eggs.
Yeah, so like the ova, that's the eggs, they need to be preserved in the sense that the chemicals really affect the integrity of these ova, in the sense there could be some genetic mutation. That's how come you would end up giving birth to things that look a bit off than a normal human morphology or body. So outside, you're encouraged to freeze your eggs, and then you go through the procedure. The stem cells are the ones that produce this ovium, or in plural, ova.
Okay.
So then the stem cells, the chemotherapy attacks the stem cells directly. So it's not just even in breast cancer treatment, any cancer treatment.
Okay.
The gonadal cells, that is the cells that produce the reproductive organs or anything related to reproduction, fertility, is affected. And at the end of the day, most of the time, what happens is, most of the time, it's so sad, they end up having struggles with fertility. So you are counseled on it. If you have the means, your eggs are freezed, and then procedure is like, you go ahead with the procedure, and then when you are ready to have a child, you might not have it the normal way.
You have to do the IVF.
The IVF and the fertilization and all those things. So it's quite an expensive procedure. So for an average Ghanaian woman, she's robbed of her fertility through this cancer treatment. And sometimes the doctor would encourage you that after some years, your body will regenerate again. And then you'll be able to have children. So it's either ways.
Okay, so the second question was that he says he has an aunt who just had breast cancer surgery. Will she need chemotherapy or radiation or both? So with this, you can just give us the difference in why both are needed, or if
so like I said earlier, that based on the staging of the cancer, the type of cancer, some of these treatments work synergistically. You can't have just chemotherapy. So if, for example, the tumor is big, they would first have to do radiotherapy to shrink the tumor before they now do surgery to remove as much excision, wide excision of the breast as much as possible, the mastectomy with removal of the lymph node and all that. Then when they are done, they now have to do the chemotherapy. And then they'll even go back to the radiotherapy again. So it can be either ways. It's not defined. So let's say breast cancer journey is individual.
It's customized.
It's customized.
Based on what the needs are.
Yes, it's customized.
From chemo to radiation to the journey, everything is very different.
So you see, that's where support groups come in. You need each other around this time. So, and it's not much common in Ghana.
Yes.
But I think we are better than before.
I'm going to push it.
Yeah.
Okay. We are hoping to see that. We will also try our best to join hands. And so all too soon, our time is almost up. And so I would have to just take our concluding remarks. I remember you were mentioning something about the support groups and the religion thing. So you can chip that in. I know you would want to.
You know, listen, my faith going through my journey was paramount. There's no question about it. But you have to know that you are a child of God and that everybody can pray to support you, but you have to believe. And if you don't have the faith, then you are shaken because Doc cannot pray for me.
Good.
I have to believe that that prayer that Doc is praying for me is going to work, and I have to have that faith. But alongside, for me, I prayed for the right doctors. I prayed for the right nurses. I prayed for the right support. So I think it's so important for us to include faith, but it cannot be where we stop. We forget that God created the doctor and all the brains in the doctor's head. We forget. You know, your herbalist will help you cure mild diseases and little things. I beg you, cancer is not one of them. It's not one of them. Don't play with it. Your early detection is how you save your life. So please get yourself to the doctor.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay. So I think I'll buttress on what Madam's saying, that let God do his work and then let the doctors also do theirs too. Together, there'll be a greater, better output. I was on a show with one nurse, a nurse who was diagnosed with cancer 30 years ago. She was a nurse, but she could have said, okay, I pray, I'm religious, and then God said he will heal me, because she had a dream that God said he will heal her. But then she went ahead to do her surgery. She went ahead to do her chemotherapy. And even before the chemotherapy, she said that night she had a dream. And she saw that she was on a trolley. And apparently, normal saline, usually the medications are put in the fluid. And she said she was on a trolley with the saline going up and down, but there was no one around. And at that time, she didn't know that that was chemotherapy. So what happened was the following day, when the doctors came, she saw that scene and she said, oh God, so you have already done it spiritually. It's just that it didn't end that she said, okay, because of that, don't do my chemotherapy. She went ahead, and that's after 30 years. So like medicine and God, it has to be together. So I'm just saying it out there. If you have breast cancer, know that God can heal you, and allow your doctors to take care of you. Come to the hospital, let's diagnose you. Just relax in our arms, let's take care of you. Let's go through the process. You need psychologists, you need everyone around to support you, but the doctor's instructions, just go by it, and then just allow yourself to be molded. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, you know that God will see you through. Nothing is lost. Nothing is lost.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us here. Two amazing ladies I am so privileged to get to know. Yes, so we have messages here. My producer says we have messages, so I should read them. Oh, come on. Well, while they get the message, myself, I have more questions. So while my producer gets my messages, it's just one. It says, can you ask Doc to explain inflammatory breast cancer? That's the message, Doc. It's not you. It's a question. Please explain it before we go.
So there's a type of breast cancer that there's no lump. We call it the Paget's disease.
Okay.
Which is more like inflammation of the breast. If you don't take care, you miss out on that diagnosis, because the patient comes with pain in the breast, you think it's normal mastitis. Like I said earlier, mastitis is mast breast, so itis is inflammation. So mastitis is inflammation of the breast. So you'd be treating with antibiotics and painkillers, thinking it's mastitis, only for you to realize that it's chronic Paget's disease. So usually when you notice a patient coming consistently with having abscess in her breast and having a wound not healing and there's no lump, we do a biopsy.
Okay.
And then the biopsy picks up the cancer.
Okay.
So there was this story of an elderly woman. The daughter was my friend. So the mom got hurt, I think when she was cooking or something. So the sore wasn't healing. And she was like, okay, doctor, come and examine her. So she came around and we examined. I thought it was probably because she was diabetic, because when you have diabetes, your sore was, so we tried to manage the sugar. It wasn't still going. And then I was like, no, this thing, it could be breast cancer, but I wasn't too bold to tell my friend because I knew she'd break down. So what I did was I invited the mom. We did it without my friend knowing. We had to do the biopsy. And so when we got a diagnosis, I had to now do it like we are now going to start.
Okay.
And made her aware that we are going to do a biopsy. We already knew the diagnosis before we went through it, and then we realized it was Paget's disease, which was a type of breast cancer. So it's true that breast cancer is not only that there's a lump in your breast.
Okay. Well, as we heard from our doctor, it is not always only a lump. So let us make sure to get screened, get checked. Last Thursday, she said we can choose a day every month. Right after your period, you can do some screening. And of course, if you can afford it, anytime you go for your general health checkups in the hospital, chip that in as well. So we put up the Pink for Africa poster, to support earlier in the show. And if you're having issues with the app, you can just use the *170 hash instead of the Momo app if you are facing any issues. So now, before my producers have my head, I would have to wrap up quickly. Thank you so much once again for granting us this interview. It has been amazing speaking with you, learning about your experience and, of course, your advocacy. And, of course, our very own Dr. Patti, thank you so much for joining us here. And, of course, you, our cherished viewers, thank you so much for joining in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in every Tuesday and Thursday to Clock TV for the KOKO Digest Morning Show. A big thank you to everybody who put hands together to make this show a success. We are most grateful, and we hope you have an amazing weekend ahead. And don't forget to get checked. Early diagnosis, early detection is very, very paramount. Do have an amazing day ahead.
Clog TV. Beyond the policy.